Alright guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. This week we've got the John Deere Classic, the JDC as I like to call it. Let's get into the breakdown of today's video. Alright, so in today's video, we'll be going over last week's recap as always. We'll be going over the core plays, kind of the whole player pool. Instead of it being core plays this week, actually it's just going to be our top 4 favorite GPP plays. Then we're actually going to be going over kind of the strategy for this week. It's a little bit different. So what we're going to be looking at this week is pretty much going to be the exact same as last week stat-wise. But this week we actually do have course history to look at, so that'll be pretty nice. The only difference between this week and last week stat-wise is going to be we're going to put a little bit more of an emphasis on that strokes gained approach. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the wedge from around like 140 on in, because this course has a lot of par 4s that leave you with that wedge. So even if you want to look at less than 150 scoring with a wedge, I don't mind that at all. So pretty much we want to project players that are going to be able to get to -4. If you've looked at the cut history, it's been between -4 and -2 for the cut line. So, the better the player is with their birdie or better percentage, the more likely they are to make the cut. But this is a weird week, especially on DraftKings, where we've got a lot of young guns on the top end of the player pool, and I'll get into that in just a second. But let's touch on last week's recap. All right, so here's a breakdown of last week's recap. We've actually been on a pretty killer streak right now. 5 straight weeks of cashing in our cash build. That's in full tournament field events, but overall, 91% of our lineups have cashed. And obviously, it differs each week at how much we like to use our cash lineup. But last week was actually considered a red week, which was unfortunate because we had 6 for 6 across the cut line, as you guys can see there in the cash build. But overall, it was a pretty solid week. Doubled up what we put in, so that was nice. The player pool is really nice as well. As you guys can see there on that lower exposure side, it was a fun little sweat there at the end of the tournament, the 3M Open. I was there too on Friday, so it was nice to see all the players make the cut. I got to watch all of them, so it was a pretty fun event for me. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good week. Pretty much doubled up. Got let down by Sabatini a little bit, and that was mostly just on DraftKings or FanDuel. Didn't have that much exposure to him on DraftKings. I had him in a few lineups. But let's get into this week's player pool. All right, so the one thing that's different about this week's player pool is the high-end side isn't the greatest. We don't really have, there's no 11K options. We don't really have to pay up for the 10K options. I think it's just safer to go with those 9K options. And then you go a little bit lower, the 8K range, I don't love it. So typically but majority of the time this year, your cash builds have come, or majority of your player pool, percent-wise, has come from the 8K range. And we just don't have that this week, so we're not going to be playing that many people in the high tier. And we're not going to be playing that many people in the 8K range. Now, I think I would rather just go with Joaquin Niemann on the top end. I think he has a little bit more upside than someone like Kevin Strillman. Kevin Strillman's going to be more of a cut maker, so I'd rather go with Joaquin Niemann in GPPs. But, I don't know if we have to really go up that high. I think I'd just rather go with Sungjae Im. We've been playing him a lot recently, and he's just been on the tear. Yeah, we do worry a little bit about burnout, but I think he's going to be a good fit this week. Looking at the stats, he is one of the better stat fits in the field. He's a top 10 stat fit, again, so we do like him. Zach Johnson is one of those players who has phenomenal course history, a former winner at this course. He hasn't missed a cut here in the last 4 years, and you kind of look at the reason why he's 20th in that wedge game that we're going to be looking at this week, so I really don't mind him. I do think that course history is going to make him be a good play this week. Charles Howell going to be a good play again. Like I said, last week his game's starting to come around, so I do like him. Brian Harman, I was kind of sad to see him do well last week because that meant his price was going to be up. He does have good course history as well. He's a former winner. I do think he's going to be a good GPP play. Same thing goes for Wyndham Clark. I think more of the same with Wyndham Clark. We saw him last week do really well. He's trending upwards, so he's 7th in strokes gained putting, 12th in birdie or better percentage. And he's also good at that short wedge, that 100 yards or less. He's pretty good at that. He's top 50 in that. So, Wyndham Clark's going to be a great GPP play again for us this week. But other than that, I don't know if we have to go with Victor Hovland, Kyle Morikawa, or Matthew Wolff on DraftKings. They're extremely cheap on Yahoo, however, so if you want to get your exposure to them, might as well do it on there. Yahoo is weird this week because it's so easy. It kind of makes it hard because you don't know actually who to go off of. Where DraftKings, their pricing is a lot more tough. Ryan Palmer there, he is one of the better stat fits in the field. He doesn't have the best course history, T77 and a missed cut, so we don't like that, but he's a good stat fit. Nate Lashley is actually a really good stat fit. He is 29th in strokes gained putting, top 20 in strokes gained approach, and that wedge stat that we're going to be looking at, 100 yards, 150 or less. He's a really good par 5 scorer, which we're going to be looking at a little bit because they are really easy to score on. And then birdie or better percentage, he is 50th in that, and he's also top 50 in ball striking, strokes gained off the tee, and strokes gained total. Mackenzie Hughes, I think we can look at him again. He's just been finding ways to make the cut. I don't necessarily like him as much as these next options I'm going to touch on here. As you guys can see here, I don't have anyone projected in that AK range this week. I just don't see the point of going. I'd rather just drop down to this below AK range. Rather go with Peter Molinari, who hasn't let us down yet. This is actually going to be the best course fit for him recently. So he's been able to make cuts recently, but this is actually going to be the one that actually fits his game the best. So I do like Peter Molinari once again this week. If we want to break it down a little bit further, I'll touch on. Actually, I won't. I don't mind Peter Molinari actually being a core play, but I won't. He's not going to be later on, which he normally would be if we were doing the core plays. But we're going to be doing GPP plays this week because I think it's going to be more of a GPP week. Bronson Burgoon, I do like him. He has good course history, T2 and a T47. He's also made 3 straight cuts, so his game seems to be trending in the right direction. Vaughn Taylor, I do like him as well. He's made 3 out of 4 cuts here in the last 4 years. He is 5th in strokes gained putting, 75th in strokes gained approach, T53 in birdie or better percentage, and 3rd in that wedge, 150 yards or less. So Vaughn Taylor looking like a great play, and so is Peter Molinari at those price ranges. But the problem here is there are way too many good plays below AK, especially GPP-wise. I mean, all these guys could pop. Taylor Gooch, he was a really good stat fit this week. He did withdraw here in 2019. Doesn't have any course experience other than that, but he's top 50 in strokes gained putting, strokes gained approach, birdie or better percentage, par 5 scoring. So I think he'll be able to go out and score on this course like he has kind of recently. So not going to be a bad play for you. 3 straight made cuts, not too bad. Going a little bit lower, I think we can go with Cameron Tringale again. Now, we did have a missed cut here last year, and then a T50 the year before that. So really not the best course history, but at least it's there. He is 64th and 63rd in strokes gained total and strokes gained off the tee. He is 80th in strokes gained putting, 31st in strokes gained approach, 40th in birdie or better percentage, and also 40th in that 150 yards or less wedge game. So I think Tringale is going to make for a great play. Again, this week we know he has made 5 straight cuts in a row, so really not a bad play for us this week. Going a little bit lower, Pat Perez actually caught my eye slightly. He's only played this course once in the last 4 years where he finished T55, but where I really like him is he's a really good putter, and he's really good at that 100 or 150 or yards less with the wedge. So Pat Perez, only a GPP play, maybe one lineup, honestly, but if he goes out and does well, wouldn't really surprise me. We know he's kind of a player that is a little bit better than he's played this year. Dylan Fratelli, he went out and scored on the course last week, and I do think he will be able to go out and do that again this week. He is 10th in that wedge stat that we're going to be looking at, and he's top 50 in strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained tee to green. He's also 66th in strokes gained approach, and then T36 in par 5 scoring, so he should be able to go out and score. Denny McCarthy, much like Wyndham Clark last week, where he had 2 really solid weeks, and then he was a really good stat fit for that week. I think Denny McCarthy is going to be in for a really good week. I could see him potentially getting a top 10 this week. Troy Merritt, found out he actually played golf at my alma mater, which is kind of cool. He's made 3 straight cuts here at this course, and he's also just one of the better stat fits. He is top 50 in total driving, ball striking, strokes gained approach, strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained total, birdie or better percentage, and then also par 5 scoring. So I think Troy Merritt's going to be in for a good week, but I also really like Sam Ryder. So Sam Ryder finished T2 here last year in his first time playing it. He is 11th in that wedge stat that we're going to be looking at, 35th in birdie or better percentage, 45th in strokes gained approach, 31st in strokes gained putting. He's also top 50 in total driving, ball striking, and strokes gained total. Going to make for a great GPP play. Then another interesting GPP play, I think it'll be low on, is going to be Jonathan Vegas. I'll touch on him in a little bit later on when we talk about one of our favorite GPP plays. I'm not sure how much we want ownership of him, but he's going to make for a strong GPP play, and I'll touch on that more later on. But just looking at the stats, he really could go out and pop, especially he's going to be low on given his recent form. He is higher priced on Yahoo too, so the odds would kind of say that he's a little bit lower priced than he should be on DraftKings. Going slightly lower, I don't really love the plays below 7K, so we'll touch on some guys slightly above it. You got Johnson Wagner, who's actually played pretty well at this course. T16, miscut, T5, and a T5. He's a pretty good, wedge player, pretty good strokes gain approach type of guy, so not going to be a horrible play, definitely more of a GPP play. Now, Hank Leviota, this is also the best he's been set up for a course, stat fit wise. Recently, he's top 50 pretty much in all the stats that we're looking at this week, so I think he's going to have a really strong week. We'll touch on him a little bit later on. And I'm trying to find some value plays here lower on. There's not that much that I like, so I think my bread and butter will be that 7K range this week. Andreas Romero has made 3 straight cuts in a row at this course, and then also this year. Now, they've been all over the place. So, I don't know if travel's going to get to him at all, but he's had T7, T25, and a T67 in the last 3 years here at this course. So maybe Zach Sucker, he missed the cut after his win, which, that just seems to happen. People are coming down off that high of a win, and, they just kind of seem to have a letdown. Now, he does have course history here. He finished T44 in 2015 at this course. So maybe he can go out and have a good week at this course. His game has been coming around. Now, Matt Every has horrible course history, withdrew, miscut, but he is a top 20 stat fit according to my model this week. So if he goes out and has a good week, I really wouldn't be surprised. He is top 60 in all the stats that we're looking at. So Matt Every going to make for a GPP play. He does have the capability of going low. He just always seems to follow it up with a really bad round. So it's just a matter of him putting it together. So if he goes out and has a top 5, that just mean that he put together 4 solid rounds in a row. But with him, you're just kind of hoping that he has 2 really good rounds to be able to make the cut, and then just go from there with him. I'm trying to go a little bit lower. The value plays just really aren't there. Wes Roach is someone that we played a little bit this year. I don't really want to play him. DJ Trahan, if he goes out and makes the cut, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not someone I just want to go out and target. Justin, I don't know how to say his last name, but he's kind of the other guy, the left out guy between Colin Morikawa, Matthew Wolff, Victor Hovland. He's the young gun on the tour as well. He finally made a cut last week, so maybe that can be kind of a tumbling effect for him, can gain momentum. And then just trying to go lower, Lahari here, maybe. He's a really good 150 and in wedge player. That's really all he has going for him. 9th in that. He has made 2 straight cuts in a row, but I don't love it. Robert Garrigus does have great course history. He hasn't missed a cut here in the last 3 years. Now, he did have a DQ 2 years ago, but other than that, top 30 finishes or better. He is a bomber. He finally didn't make the cut last week as well. And maybe Van Oswegen here. I don't know. I just don't like the value plays. Yes, there's going to be some guys that go on and have a really good week. I'm just not seeing them yet. Now maybe we have some qualifiers later on that get in the field that we really like, but other than that, let's just try to finish out this GPP build. Now that's really not a bad GPP build. I'm not sure kind of Brian Harman, if he's going to be able to play well. If he doesn't, he has the early plane flight to go to the Open. So let's talk about our favorite GPP plays now. All right, so let's start out with Sam Ryder. So I already touched on him a little bit. I think he's going to make for one of the better GPP plays. He already showed that he can go out and play well on this course with that T2 here last year. He's 35th in total driving, 43rd in ball striking. His strokes gain total, not the best. 58th, not horrible. T100 strokes gain tee to green, and also strokes gain off the tee. That's not really where he does his damage, though. He does his damage putting, where he's 31st in strokes gain putting, 52nd in strokes gain approach, 19th in birdie or better percentage, so we do really like that. And then he's also 11th in that wedge stat that we're looking at, and he's T36 in par 5 scoring. So, all that is just adding up to Sam Ryder making for a great GPP play. Not sure we can play him in cash, although if you did, I wouldn't blame you. This does seem to be a little bit more of a difficult week. Honestly, with the 7K range, I kind of wish I could fit more of them in there. The problem is we don't have like an 11K player to pay out for, so I just ended up with a lot of salary left over. So I'm kind of going to be forced to play a 10K or 9K player that I wouldn't exactly play on a normal week, but that's just going to be kind of how it shakes out this week. Let's talk about the next GPP play that I like. All right, so Hank Lebiota, the price point, I don't love. He's been a value play for us pretty much the whole year, so we're getting him at a higher salary, but he does make for a great play stat-wise. Let's pull him up. So 35th in total driving, 23rd in ball striking, T75 in strokes gained total. He's top 75 in strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained tee to green. He's 46th in strokes gained approach, 29th in birdie or better percentage. He's 22nd in that wedge stat that we're looking at, and he's T36 in par 5 scoring. So I do think that Lebiota is going to be in for a good week. He is the top 15 stat fit this week. He also isn't in the worst recent form. He did have that T34 last week. Let's talk about the next GPP play. All right, so our next GPP player, tease it a little bit. That's going to be Jonathan Vegas. So let's pull up the stats. Now, he does have that T44 here, course history-wise. But the stats here, 59th in total driving, 30th in ball striking, 40th in strokes gained total, 35th in strokes gained tee to green, 5th in strokes gained off the tee. Now, he's not the best putter. He really struggles at that, and his strokes gained approach isn't the best. He's over 100 in both of those, but his birdie or better percentage is really nice, T53. He's also second in that wedge game. So really with him, it's just a matter of him getting to 150 or less. Then his wedge game is pretty good. He's not good with the long irons, is kind of what that stat is telling us. He's a really good par 5 scoring, T42 in that. So, if Vegas goes out and has a really strong week, not going to be surprising at all. All right, let's talk about the last GPP play this week. That's going to be Denny McCarthy. So, like I tried to say earlier, much like Wyndham Clark last week, where Wyndham Clark had 2 really nice solid weeks in a row, and I was kind of trending upward, and Wyndham Clark was a really nice stat fit last week. I think Denny McCarthy is going to be pretty much the same thing this week. Denny McCarthy did finish T34 here in his first year playing it. He's not the best total driver or ball striker, but he is 42nd in strokes gained total. He is 79th in strokes gained off the tee. He is the best putter in the field. He's 41st in birdie or better percentage, 62nd in that wedge stat that we're looking at, and he's also T18 in that par 5 scoring, so we should be able to take advantage of those 3 par 5s this week. All right, that's all we have for you guys this week. Please give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and as always, let's keep cash.